just a little bit of backstory. I am originally from New York City, and I had my daughter in 2011, which is kind of when the thought of breast implants really hit me, because my breasts jumped a few sizes due to, milk, and I was never one of those girls with big chests. I really had like the tiniest boobs you could possibly find a bra for. Like, I might as well have wore training bras or sports bras for like most of my life. And I promised myself from 2011 that I was going to buy myself some boobs if they didn't stay. My exact words. I told it to my mom, I told it to my friends, and no one believed me. They were like, yeah, whatever. Sure, you're gonna go get your breast done, whatever. You can't even handle getting your blood drawn at the doctor's office, which I cannot still. So in and around 2013 is when I really started to like hit me. Like, dude, your boobs didn't stay. Now you look like you have raisins hanging off of a vine from your chest. They literally looked like this, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. I didn't feel comfortable taking my shirt off in front of people or like in front of my significant others. I didn't feel comfortable wearing swimsuits. I didn't feel comfortable. I used to model, so being in like raunchy clothes or things like that, I wasn't at my most confident as I could have been. And it was all because of my chest. It was like, I freaking hate this. Like, I feel like I ruined myself because I didn't breastfeed. Because a lot of people told me, if you breastfeed, then your boobs stay longer, they stay bigger, they're great, they're awesome, then you lose all the baby weight. None of that happened for me. Nothing. I've still got the flub. But we're not talking about the flub. So basically, I started a Google search on the best plastic surgeons in New York City. I went to a consultation in Manhattan, and it was kind of a pushy situation where it was like I knew in my mind what I wanted. I based my thought of what I really wanted on myself, and like I based my height and my weight and my body type off of, believe it or not, this porn star named Christy Mack. So Christy Mack and I are the same height and around about the same weight, except now my boobs are probably the same weight as her butt, because she's got a big butt and I don't. So we are both 5 feet even, and at the time we both weighed about 130, 140, and she had about double D boobs. I remember she got hers done like twice. Like, yeah, I did all my research. I checked how many times she got her boobs done and everything. But around the second time she got them done, they were at the perfect size where I was like, oh my God, I can look like that. Like, that's exactly what I want to look like. But nothing, like when I went to the one in Manhattan, he was very pushy, very, you need to get this is what's better for you, not whatever you're talking about. And it just made me feel like my input didn't matter, and it was going into my body. So I was very like not okay with that. It's like, I'll come back. You ever do that where you're like at a store, you see the price tag on something, you're like, oh, I'm gonna come back, and you never do? I never went back, never contacted him again. That was that. But then what kept popping up on my Google search was this like ad for Taylor's home. My daughter's here playing in her room. You can hear that. So what kept popping up in my Google search was an ad for a place called CG Cosmetics. It was a cosmetic center apparently in Coral Gables of Miami. Again, I've never left New York. I've always been in New York. So thinking about flying to Miami by myself, because my mom obviously was going to be the caretaker of my child, and who was going to go with me? Like, yeah, I ended up saying, you know what, I'm gonna try it. So I gave them a call and we emailed literally every question I've ever had. They answered. They were very, very sweet, very, very informative, even though we were all the way away from each other. At the time, I just had like a regular desktop computer that was my mom's, and we couldn't like video chat, but they were always messaging me and always emailing, just making sure I was okay and that I was up for it, letting me know about all the things I had to go through, going to my doctors to make sure I was cleared and things like that, before surgery, which I was so nervous about. I was so nervous, but it was a very good experience. So eventually what happened was I dropped my daughter off to her godmother's house for the weekend. They say you're not supposed to fly within like the 2 to 3 days after, but being that I was a special case and coming from another state, they had to make an exception and making sure that I was okay right away for me to go home. So I made plans for the weekend. I was going to leave on a Thursday, get set up by Friday. Saturday I was going to do a last check-in, and then Sunday I was going to go home. So initially I was going to go alone, and my mom was freaking out because the last time I had a surgery was my cesarean with my daughter, and I was in a medical induced coma directly following. So she got very nervous about me being under anesthesia, cutting me open again, because we still are not sure about what happened during my cesarean. So we're just very, very careful when it comes to any kind of surgery procedure. So she was pretty freaked out, and at the time I was dating this douchebag who pretty much only thought about themselves, and they were like, oh, I'll go with you, and I was like, I kind of don't want you to, but they came anyway. Again, only caring about themselves, they didn't book the flights with me. So I ended up in Miami by myself early in the day, around like 10-11 in the morning. So I had to go to my doctor's office by myself, which was fine because again, they were very loving, very caring people, very, very sweet, very informative. I had all my paperwork laid out. We talked about everything. I let them know about my medical coma that I was in, and they were like, well, we're gonna make sure that everything is perfect. We are not going to put you in any danger. And I stayed at an Airbnb like around where the cosmetic center was, so that way I'd be nice and close and I wouldn't have to travel too far and take cabs. The good thing about Coral Gables Cosmetic Center is that they have people specifically to take you from the hotel or place you're staying at back and forth to the center when needed for literally like nothing. Like I think it was like $5, and they'd wait for you in the lobby until you're done to take you right back. So they were very, very like, it's all about you. Like I felt like VIP. So I was obviously initially impressed with their valet service that they provided because it was very sweet of them. And I sent them pictures when I was in New York through our emails about like my breast size, you know, front, side, blah, blah, blah. And they were ready for me. Like literally they were ready for me. So the first day I went, we just, I signed paperwork. I went over all the details with them in person. I met my doctor, Dr. Ortega. He was very, very nice. And we set a schedule for the next day to start my surgery. And I was over the moon excited. I didn't even care about the fact that I was in Miami. Like that part didn't really hit me very much. I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. Oh my god, yay, finally, thank God. I got here safely. Everything's perfect, I'm great. Then I was scheduled for my surgery, and I went in like with a brave face. I was so ready for this. They basically gave me an IV, which I cried. I teared a little bit about my little IV in my hand. Because again, I'm terrified of needles. Terrified. And no, don't give me the, but you've got tattoos. Shut up. No, not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. Anyways, so they gave me my IV, and I had my little paper gown thing on, had my clothes folded up on the side, and the last thing that I can remember from that day was them bringing me into the room, laying me down. He was rubbing my head, and he goes, "We're gonna give you your night-night medicine now, okay?" And I'm like, my night-night. Knocked out cold. All I remember after that was being dressed, sitting up with these bandages around my boobs, and I was like, what happened? What happened? I was a mess. I was a mess. Coming off of the anesthesia, I was back at my Airbnb. I was eating saltine crackers, and on like Skype with my mom, I kept falling asleep with the crackers in my mouth. And I was like on a ginger ale and cracker diet. Like, that was it. All saltines, all ginger ale, and that was it. And I would like fall in and out of sleep. The pain was not unbearable. Like, day one, of course, it's like, I can't move. How am I supposed to do this? But given the person I was with, I had to do everything myself. So I had to get over the pain. I had to shower myself while they sat on the bed staring into whatever space. So basically, I had to man up, pop my meds, get in the shower, dress myself, rebandage myself, and head back to the doctor's office the next day. By the next day, they just like checked my incisions to make sure everything looked good. They told me to make sure that they were kept clean. I was not able to take off the new tape for about a week or two, I think. And they gave me this cute little card right here that told me what type of implants I got, the size, the style, and who my doctor was. But they are 500 cc's of silicone on each side, and I actually it was a few months ago, I actually asked my mother how much 500 cc's of silicone weighs, and they're about 2.5 pounds each. So I have like 5 pounds on my chest. But yeah, so recovery, I was told not to carry anything heavy or indulge in any like crazy activities for 2 weeks, and then I was gonna be fine. Literally, that was it. And at the time, I was a server at Applebee's, and if any servers are out there watching this, they know that the buckets of ice are about this big, and they're pretty heavy. So I was not able to carry buckets of ice, carry tray glasses, anything like that. So it was this, literally, I was perfectly fine after. And here I have some after photos. I was feeling myself a little bit, and I always have after that. Like, literally, after I got my breasts done, I booked more photo shoots. I was more confident in my clothing. I felt good. I looked good. Oh, the price. They were $4,800. And that doesn't include my Airbnb or my travel back from New York to Miami, back and forth. But yeah, $4,800. That's it. That is it. Literally, I love these things. Like, the best money I've ever spent, like, ever. If you guys want to check out Coral Gables Cosmetic, Dr. Ortega, no longer works there, sadly, but I still do go for checkups if needed. I know they say every 10 years I'm supposed to change them, so I'm trying to wrap my mind about wrap my mind around planning for the next couple years for when I have to get them done over again. I'm trying to see if I want them bigger. I think they're good. But thank you guys again for watching. Next video probably won't be about makeup either. I'm trying to give it a little bit of a break since everyone on YouTube does makeup. Maybe you guys can let me know what you want. We have my headband collection. We can talk about my wig collection since I'm a different person every video. You guys let me know what you'd like to see from me for the next one, and I'll see you next week.